We're very fortunate to have Councillor Brian Mayes with us today, who is going to talk to us a little bit about why he got into politics, what's happening in his ward during this time as well. We'll learn a little more about Mr. Mayes and his past as we go through this. So Councillor, thank you very much for being here.
Hey, thanks for doing this. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming along. I think it's important for people to get to know who's representing the city across the board with all the councillors that we do have. So I appreciate your time today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before politics?
Sure. I've had an odd career, but I grew up. The house I'm in is sitting in right now is the house I grew up in Saint Vital, and then went away and got a degree at Carleton and a degree at U of Toronto, and worked I've worked as a civil servant for a few years, then worked for the Union for Civil Servants in Toronto for 10 years. Then my wife got a job as a prof at Brandon U, so we moved to Brandon U. I got a law degree, ended up back in Saint Vital in 2010, buying this house from my mom. And then very fortunately for me, the city councillor for Saint Vital resigned in August of 2011. And I got elected in a by-election, and here we are. So worked both 10 years for a union and 10 years as a lawyer. So I've had a kind of an odd career, but had a good run as a city councillor.
But I mean, you can say it's odd, but it gives you that some variables in which those skills that you've learned and the experience you've had, you can now take into politics.
Yeah, that's actually, had I only been a lawyer or only worked for a union, I think it would have been quite different. But it's actually been a good research, good history to kind of know something about people and about legal issues. So yeah, it's been, and to have worked 3 years as a civil servant myself gave me some understanding of that. So yeah, it's very lucky to be back in Saint Vital. I was a school trustee in Brandon for 4 years, and actually ran as well when I lived in Toronto, ran for city council. So I've had an unusual political odyssey, but it's actually great to represent the area where you grew up. It's really
it would be a nice feeling. Do you remember, knowing that you grew up there? You might not, but did you remember the very first job you ever had?
Yeah, I worked at, when I was 14, I worked at Golfland, which I think is defunct now, which was a driving range and mini golf. So my friend Chris Sigurdsson and I would drive out there on bikes, and we would, we picked up golf balls at the end of the day on the driving range, and the guy would blast music, and we got to play as much mini golf as we wanted for free. So we were like fantastic mini golfers, not very good golfers, but mini golfers. So yeah, I've fond memories of that. Chris is still one of my best friends, and as a trustee with the school division here. So that's worked out wonderfully.
That's excellent. Tell me, what is it that made you decide to run for Saint Vital this time? In Winnipeg, when you got to Winnipeg, what was that? What was the one factor that really pushed you over to say, I need to get involved, I need to make some change?
Some of it was, I mean, I'd always been interested in politics. I'd run in other cities. But to have the chance to represent where you grew up, and the opening, Gord Steeves, who was my predecessor, really could have done this for decades, I think, and not been defeated, but he left to run provincially. So that was the hour. That was the opening in 2011. And I had left the law firm I was with. So I seemed to me I had time to go full time for 9 weeks. I had money from sale of my law firm in Brandon. So it was now or never. So that really has worked out wonderfully for me. It's my family's been very patient and been part of this, but yeah, that kind of tipped the balance to, it seemed like a really once in a lifetime chance really in 2011. So I was glad I was able to do that.
Well, it's excellent. And I know that even during my short time on council, you're a gentleman and a scholar to work with. So I appreciate that very much.
You do.
And it's very important to have that on council and have somebody that you can talk to. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about, I do want to point out though, because a lot of people don't understand politics or politicians, and I came from the dark side, the media. And we probably didn't do a very good job of explaining it, but leaving your own law firm or leaving a legal practice, even working for the unions, and getting into politics, it's certainly not a move you're making for the money. This is a move because you want to do that.
Yeah, I was doing this. We've had all these weeks off, so I've been going through old documents and found the pension documents from when I was a union staffer with, this impossibly distant date of you could retire at 2017 on full pension, which seemed like, futuristic when I got it, I'm sure. So yeah, it would have been more comfortable to just do that, or more lucrative, I guess, to stay on as a lawyer. But I did, I've been interested in politics. I went down to volunteer in the States in '86 when I was 24, and that really convinced me that you could do something, you could make a difference. So yeah, it hasn't been for the money. I mean, it's not bad money, as you know, but no, I probably get too defensive about that when people get after me. But yeah, I'm glad to have had the opportunity to do this, and no, it wasn't just for the money.
Right. So tell me a little bit about St. Atella. Obviously, this is people watching this from Charleswood, Tuxedo, Westwood, hopefully, and others from across the city. So tell us, what it is about St. Atella that you're proud to see happening. You've seen some change there, and really makes that a great community for you. What is it that's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Windsor Park for the first 8 years, and then we moved here when I was 8. So I really had a very happy upbringing, and some of those people I met elementary school are still my friends, and high school friends. I think it was the chance to do something for the neighborhood. And somebody said to me in about 2010 or so, a friend who had moved away, I was back in the old neighborhood and it looked a bit shabby. And he and I have kind of kept up this conversation since then, where I've been able to say, oh, you got to come back, and I'll drive you around and show you this stuff, because it's motivating. So it's an interesting mix of you got stuff that's more than 100 years old. You've got stuff that's very new. And so it's a chance to kind of pay back. And I talked to Gord Steves about this, who was actually pretty eloquent when I took over from him, saying, these people set it up for us. Now it's our turn to set it up for the next generation. So yeah, it's people here don't like anything too fancy. I think I think it's one of the best educated wards. You can talk to people. People will understand sophisticated concepts, but they want you to be who you are. Like, I've gone out canvassing many times wearing like a t-shirt and shorts or something, and I've had other politicians say, oh, I wouldn't do that. And I said, no, I'm comfortable with this. And I think people here just sort of want you to be yourself and be straight up with them. So that's I feel after 8 years, they get me and I get them, as I've said to people. So you never know. I mean, it's an up and down game, but it's really a mix of backgrounds here. Certainly when I was a kid, there was almost no diversity, but now that's a very different story now.
So, and very true. Also, I think that one of the things that we preached a lot in business to staff and to managers up and coming is that 80% of your success will be the relationships you establish. 20% comes from your knowledge, know-how, and product as such, and pricing, but 80% comes from being able to connect with people. And it sounds like you have done an excellent job of that. And I see no problem knocking on doors with shorts and a t-shirt. So.
I had a guy, I remember going in 2011, and I knocked on this. It was the second time I'd been on Woodydale, I think. And this guy said to me, there's 10 candidates in this race, and I've seen you twice, and no one else was. How can that be? And it was like, yes, yes, I'm out. Like, I'm sure that guy voted. So that kind of thing is very rewarding when you think, yeah, I want to be a representative. I'm out here grinding away. So that's, I think it's the old marathon runner in me, in a way that just, it's, you got the persistence to just keep going and going.
Good for you. So that brings me to my next question. With the uncharted waters that we're all dealing with on a regular basis, day to day, COVID-19, what concerns you most for the city right now with COVID-19, or for your ward?
I think people are doing a pretty good job of distancing. I think it's the uncertainty of when is this going to loosen up, and it certainly looks like we aren't going to have tens of thousands of deaths in the city of Winnipeg, but what's the economic impact going to be? I mean, it's not going to be after June 1st, nobody gets it, but at least if you get it, your odds of getting good medical care are going to be pretty good. So it's the economics. I mean, this is just unknowable. This is this event, sort of catastrophic event that emergency plans are made for. So where, $180 million federal deficit is just mind blowing when you think 30 billion is a big number. So for this neighborhood, I think it's just the uncertainty economically.
So do you find that most people are anxious, starting to get to that anxious part right now? It's been a few weeks, so I'm noticing with some people, they are starting to ask more often than not, is there an end in sight? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? What do you say to those people?
There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but I mean, is it 6 weeks away? That's roughly what I'm hearing. But the Prime Minister's talked about, I don't know if he used normality or normalcy, a return to one or the other in months, if not, a year. And that's concerning to people. So what does that mean? So I think it's just, some of it's certainly the health issues. People, I have a friend, a woman who I've known for decades, and she's been in her house since I think March 13th because she's diabetic and she has respiratory issues. Like, she hasn't left. So my God, the fear for someone like that. But in the longer term, the medium term, it's just the economics and uncharted waters.
Yeah, well, I think we'll return to, we won't return, but when we do return, it will be a new normal that I think we're all going to walk into. And there are so many people that have medical issues that have been in their house for a very long time. This morning, we actually got together with one of our local owners at a McDonald's in Charleswood and delivered a bunch of coffee and muffins to a number of people who we knew have been alone at home for a very long time. And just the smiles and the just a small token of, hey, we're thinking about you, just melts your heart. It was amazing to see and to see others join in and want to volunteer. I think these are the good things that come from this experience. What do you think? We know that there's where you have to watch for the financial part of it, and I'm the stickler for that, of making sure that we're ready for that. What do you think good will come from this? Because everything bad, something good does come.
Right now we're seeing all sorts of people saying, well, this proves my point of, we should have more protected bike lanes downtown. It's like, well, how do you see that as the outcome of this? I think public health will get more attention. This idea of, okay, we need to do more planning for a future return of this, and how can we be better prepared? Everyone will see in it a sort of crisis and therefore opportunity to put forward their own view. I think, in terms of the good, more public health emphasis, probably not spending it so much on hospitals necessarily, but trying to do more planning and preparation for emergencies, because you don't want another one of these for another 100 years, frankly. So let's hope this isn't the new normal. I don't know. Other positive, it's hard to know, like, economically, if what all is going to be canceled or what not. So it'll force us to take a harder look at some of the numbers, I think. It's one of these, there is more of a sense of community. On the other hand, I feel guilty because my friends in the Albanian Kosovar community are having this blood drive, and you think, I really am trying to minimize my time out of the house. So I'm sorry, I'll do it later. So it's difficult to things you'd really like to support. You got to stay home.
Yep. And I think it's important to make those decisions. And you're right, the more we stay home, the safer everybody will be. Staying home is not just for us, it's for everybody else. And I think I watched the press conference today, this being Monday, and it was positive news. They're able to say we're seeing the good of what we're doing. We're seeing it's paying off for us. So I think we're very fortunate in that respect. And I think we're fortunate. The one time we're very fortunate that we have such a mass for our city. It spreads so far. Yeah. We don't have a lot of people close together.
Yeah, so I was talking to Rochelle Squires about this, who said, well, there might be an advantage in what you were just saying. So one positive, though, or one thing I'm working on, which is people have said, well, this has shown we don't have enough spaces for pedestrians, and then some of them head into therefore we need bike lanes. But my view is, if we don't have enough spaces for pedestrians, I'm doing this project. I'm trying to find all these old 1960s era running tracks that are falling apart. Well, let's put some money into that. If there's going to be a public works kind of project, make works the wrong term, but
Yeah.
some big investment, some shovel ready thing. That's what I'm spending some of my time on, is going to go and see the Elmwood track and the Sturgeon Creek track and some of these things I don't know at all. Some out in your area, and say, okay, this one looks fine. This one is, no one's touched it since 61, so maybe we can, there's one, Collège Bellevaux is my first one that I want to work on. So to me, that would, as a runner, that would be a huge thing if we can help out some pedestrians and help out some people give better spaces to go walk.
Well, I think it's a great idea, and I know you started that last week sometime, and it made me think of a couple of trails that we have. We have a trail in Westwood, for example. It's a nice old trail, but it hasn't been fixed up for, it seems like, 300 years. Weeds growing through and such. So, and we're looking at that saying, well, it wouldn't take that much from our funding to fix this back up, because with the little things that we took for granted, like a trail, now we're sitting there looking at it saying, well, this is actually very important to get out and do some stuff. So I think that's a very admirable project to take on, and I know you're a big advocate of that. So,
it excites me.
Thank you for doing that. Let's get a little more personal now, because this is more of the fun side. I did send you 3 questions so that you were ready for this. So we'll start with the first one. What is your family's favorite restaurant in the city?
I would say my favorite restaurant, there's to plug the local business, there's a great place called the Krusty Bun, which is on St. Mary's Road, which is these German owners. It's a great, I've referred to it either as my constituency office or my Southern campaign office at times. So I'm going to go with the Krusty Bun, because that's, it's not really a dinner place, but it's, it's a great local. I was in there once with Terry Duguid, and we got nothing done, because every second, either half the people knew him or half the people knew me. And so it was kind of fun, actually.
Well, you know what? We'll have to go do that. We'll have to go do that one day. I would like to experience that. I'll bring you to Joy Coffee, where that happens an awful lot here. So the second question I had sent to you, but I'm going to change it up, because what I've gotten to know about you in this very short time, which I don't think a lot of people know, is you're quite the knowledgeable person when it comes to music, and you like different genres of music and so on. You introduced me to a version of, and I've been in the music industry for, 25 years. We were using 45s when I was on the radio back in the day. That will tell you how old I am. But you introduced me to a version of Stairway to Heaven by Heart.
Yes, that's a great song. Yes.
I listen to quite often now. So what would be, now this is obviously COVID-19 time. What's the music you're turning to right now? What's your favorite to listen to?
Your very generous comments about, since my musical taste probably stopped evolving at about 1990, but I've been listening to Dire Straits a lot, actually. I got into that driving to our last council meeting. So I've been... these are very long songs, right? There's 12-minute long, Telegraph Road and Tunnel of Love and all this stuff. So, but it has a very positive, it reminds me of being at residence when I was at Carleton. So that evokes that period for me. So it's, I've been listening to that. Lately I've been getting more into country music, but I won't deflect into that. But yeah, probably Dire Straits right now.
I love Dire Straits, and you and I were talking once in the council building. I always looked for the long songs, especially when working in radio, because when you have to go, and you can't really do it in 3 minutes and 29 seconds, which most songs were. Well, I want to wrap it up with our the last question, and it's just more about what's your favorite thing to do right now? And we talked. I think I talked about movie or sport. I know you're a runner, so we don't even have to talk about that. You are a long distance runner. You run every day, which is nice to see. But what about book? You and I have talked about some good books, and I thought, surely you were like me, and you grabbed one of those books you've been meaning to read for a while and spend some time doing that. So have you found one that you're particularly interested in?
Well, ironically, I'm on there. I just happened to page 1 of the Hunger Games, which I have no idea where. I think I bought this at some book sale in the ward, where you want to give them some money. but I've plowed through my biography of Leon Trotsky, and my son gave me a biography of Chris Christie. So it's like polar opposites: Donald Trump supporter, communist revolutionary. But I burned off all the library books I got off, so we're now going through what I've got. So I've seen the movie of the Hunger Games. So yeah, I'm gonna try that. But yeah, it's a good opportunity. I never have time to read these days, except for, well, normally. So as you know, this job can be all consuming. So yeah, I'm trying reading some fiction, which is very rare.
That's good. I think you'll enjoy it. Let me know how you like that one. I haven't read that one, so it'd be nice to see. I really appreciate your time. I do want to ask you before we go.
Thank you for doing this. This is very good of you to do it. You know, it's a difficult period. So just.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I hope your family is doing well. Your questions, by the way, are going to be used for our contest. So people that will have had to have listened to your answers and your things will be on there. And we're doing it in the award for a chance to win $20 gift certificate to a local restaurant. Right now, it's our locally owned McDonald's. So thank you for that. But hopefully your family is safe. And if there's anything that we can do from a Charleswood, Tuxedo Westwood standpoint, volunteer somewhere. If you need anything, we'll certainly be there for you at any time.
Well, thank you. Well, if I do get around, and I do want to start doing my driving tour of tracks, so I don't know, there might be one out there where you are. So I don't know where these are. I didn't know any of these so I've been to Sisler since we played basketball in '77, I think. But they have a track, so I'm going to head up. But so if there's one in your ward, you can find one.
We have one that needs some help in Westwood. The school's been using it, but it's not official.
Yes, that is. Yes, I think that one's on my list. That would be great.
Good. Thank you very much for your time again, sir. And we'll see you again.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, bye.